breath in the lungs, I give you praise. Oh, what is awaiting me, I give you praise, Lord. I worship you, I give you praise. Oh God, oh God, oh God, you are good, Lord. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, my Savior. Thank you, my Lord, my lover, my everything. Thank you, Jesus. Hey, hey. I worship you, 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 worship you. I give you praise, Lord. Hey, hey, hey. Oh Lord, you're good, you're kind, you are everything, you are everything, you are everything, you are good, you are kind, you are. Hey, hey, hey. I give you praise. I give you praise. Jesus, I give you praise. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. Oh God, I praise your holy name. I worship you, worship you, worship you, worship you, worship you, worship you. I bow before you, Lord. Hey, 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 hey. Oh Jesus, you were good to me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. All I've come to sing is thank you, my Savior. Thank you, Lord. 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 I give you praise. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We welcome you to today's program. You're going to be blessed. You're surely going to be blessed. So, wherever you are, just put on your dancing shoes. Get set to praise God. Give Him praise for all that He's done for you. He's good. He's good. He's good. He's good. Just worship His holy name as we dance to Him this morning. Just give Him praise wherever you are. He's a marvelous God. Give Him praise wherever you are. Just put your hands together. Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Hallelujah. 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 No go finish for my mouth. Goodness and mercy they follow for my life. Oh. Praise the Lord. I'm not finding for my tongue. Oh. Hallelujah. No go finish. It no go finish for my mouth. Your goodness. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Hey. Hallelujah. No go finish for my mouth. Your goodness. Praise the Lord. You no go finish. Oh, praise the Lord now.
I will praise Him every day.
Praise His holy name.
I will praise the Lord.
I say praise the Lord now.
I will praise Him every day.
Praise His holy name.
I will praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord now.
I will praise Him every day.
Praise His holy name.
I will praise the Lord.
I say Jehovah, 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 Jehovah. We worship you, Lord. kind. He's a good God. You are God, oh. You are not just big, oh. Hey, you are not just large, oh. You are a great God. Say you are God, oh.
You are God.
You are not just big.
You are not just big, oh.
You are not just large, oh.
You are not just large,
You are, yeah. Say you are big.
You are big, 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 big.
You are large, oh. You are great. Hey,
You are a great God.
say you are big.
You are big, 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 big.
You are large, oh. You are great.
You are a great God.
Jehovah,
Jehovah God.
I say Jehovah, Gogoro.
Jehovah
Jehovah,
God.
Gogoro.
Jehovah God.
Jehovah,
Jehovah
Jehovah, 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 hey, my God is good, oh.
My God is good, oh.
Hey, my God is good, oh.
My God is good, oh.
He give me life, 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 oh.
He give me blessings.
He give me blessings.
He give me blessings.
He give me blessings.
I say, he give me chop, oh.
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 He give me chop,
I say,
oh.
everything now glory, glory.
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 Everything from glory, glory.
Everything now 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 glory,
I
glory.
say, yes, that is your name. Yes,
That is your name.
hey, we rababa,
Rababa, rababa, rababa.
we rababa, hey, we rababa, hey, we rababa. I say, we muchocho, we muchocho, we muchocho, hey, we muchocho. We come on let, we come on let, hey, we come on let, we come on let. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti máa sọ̀rọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti sá lọ. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti máa sọ̀rọ̀. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o. Ẹgbẹ́rin ha.
Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o.
Máa stand by.
Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti máa sọ̀rọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti sọ̀rọ̀. Ó jẹ́ ènìyàn ló dúró ìbá ti máa ṣèrègùn. Onídúró mi ẹ ṣé o.
Say, we are going,
Ayọ̀.
we are going,
Ayọ̀.
we are going. Say we are going, we are going higher. We are going, say we are going forward. We are going, we are going, What a marvelous God. What a marvelous God. He has done marvelous things for us. What a marvelous God. What a marvelous. He's here to do marvelous things for us. Everybody sing it.
What a marvelous
What a
God.
marvelous.
What a marvelous God.
Hey.
He has done marvelous things for me.
Le, 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 le.
What a marvelous God.
Hey.
What a marvelous. He's just to do marvelous things for me.
Daddy, to you, Lord.
Be all the glory.
To you, Chimo, Chimo.
Be all the honor.
To you, Jesus.
Be all the glory and adoration forevermore.
Daddy, to you, Lord.
Be all the glory.
To you, my
Be
Savior.
all the honor.
Nobody like you.
Be all the glory and adoration forevermore.
I say, Ire, Ayọ̀, àtàlàáfíà, ó wọlé ọkọ lẹ́mi. Ire, Ayọ̀, àtàlàáfíà, ó wọlé. Ire, Ayọ̀, Ire, Ayọ̀,
Àtàlàáfíà wọlé.
Ire, Ayọ̀, Ire, Ayọ̀,
Àtàlàáfíà wọlé.
Ire, 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 Ire. That is your portion. Hey. One more time. I am blessed. So blessed.
Everything I lay my hands upon is blessed.
Oh, sing it now. Say, I am blessed. Oh,
Oh na na, oh na na,
so blessed.
oh na na, oh na na. Everything I lay my hands upon is blessed.
Everybody say, I am blessed. Oh,
Oh na na, oh na na,
so blessed.
oh na na, oh na na. Everything I lay my hands upon is blessed.
Say, Onaga,
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 Onaga.
onaga.
Is it working?
It's working,
Is it working?
it's working,
Is it working?
it's working,
Is the word working?
it's working,
Is your life working?
it's working,
Is it 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 working?
it's working,
Is your life working?
it's working,
Is your job working?
it's working,
Is it working?
it's working,
Is it working?
it's working.
Give the Lord praise wherever you are. It's worthy to be praised. I feel like dancing.
Like dancing,
Komole,
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 komole, komole, komole. I feel like jumping.
I feel like jumping.
Jump, 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 jump. I feel like jumping. No,
Feel like jumping.
I feel like jumping.
Feel like jumping.
I feel like jumping.
I feel like jumping.
I feel like jumping.
Feel like
Hey.
jumping.
I feel like rababa.
Feel like rababa.
I feel like rababa.
Feel like rababa.
I feel like rababa.
Feel like rababa.
I feel like rababa.
Feel like
the Lord a shout wherever you are. He's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Hey, oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
From glory to glory.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo. Oh, yeah, ninu ogo.
Hey, I'm gonna follow you, they go. I'm gonna follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
I'm gonna follow Jesus, they go.
Follow you, they go.
I'm gonna follow Jesus, they go.
Follow you, they go.
I'm gonna follow Jesus, they go.
Follow you, they go.
When you lead me, I will follow.
Follow you, they go.
I'm gonna follow you, they go.
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 I'm gonna follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
Follow you,
they go.
I'm gonna follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
I'm gonna follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
Follow you, they go.
Miracle working God. Give him praise. He's the Alpha
and Omega. It's a miracle working God.
miracle worker. Hey,
Miracle working
he's in the
God.
business of working miracles,
Miracle working
signs and
God.
wonders every day.
Alpha and Omega. It's a miracle working God.
Miracle worker. He's a miracle.
working God.
He's a miracle.
Miracle working God.
He keeps doing great things.
Alpha
And Omega.
Omega. It's a miracle working God.
Miracle worker. He's a miracle.
Working God.
We give you worship
Miracle working God.
and adoration. Alpha. Hey, he's a miracle working king. He's a miracle working physician. Hey, he's the Alpha and Omega. He's a miracle working God. Give him all the praise now. Hey, he's the Alpha. Hey, ó ṣe mí láàánú. Hey, apolongo rẹ̀. Ọba tó ṣe mí láàánú. Hey, apolongo rẹ̀. Ó ṣe mí láàánú o. Apolongo rẹ̀. Ọba tó ṣe mí láàánú. The merciful God. Ó ṣe mí láàánú o. Apolongo rẹ̀, polongo rẹ̀. I talk about it. Say, I will not be silent. I will always worship you. As long as. I will always
worship you.
I will not be silent. Oh. Never. I will always worship
you.
as long as I am breathing. I will always
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Can we all hear me?
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Praise
Everybody
the
can
Lord.
hear me, right?
Prof. Taiwo.
You can hear me.
Prof. Taiwo, over to you.
Can you hear me? I'm speaking. Can you hear me?
Faintly.
Okay. So I will try to be as loud as possible. We thank God for that worship and praise section. We thank God for we have entered into a new glory. The song said, "Oh yeah, go." Praise the Lord. And we thank God also for yesterday's session. It was a very powerful session on LD, heterosexual relationship. And at the close of yesterday's session also, we had some trivia questions. And we eventually had a winner. And the winner for yesterday's trivia session is that David Akinwande. David Akinwande, whoa, I'm so glad you won the trivia session yesterday. So what you just need to do right now is to send a message to 080 6748 5145. I'll say that again. 080 6748 5145 with a proof that you won. So because we want fairness here. And not only to the winner are we going to be saying thank you, we are also saying thank you to everyone who has joined us so far from last week to this week. And I am so sure that you have been blessed by the series of sessions that we have had. And I can tell you that today will not be different, because what we have today is a powerful section that is going to bless and change your life for the best. And we are going to be starting in few minutes, but before we start, I would also like to encourage you to like and share. You know, when something is sweet, you don't want to be the only one to enjoy it. So it is very easy. Just click the like button and the share button, and then you will be doing your friends a whole lot of good, because what they will be hearing this morning to afternoon is going to be a very powerful section. Praise the Lord. I am so excited. I don't know if Glory is excited.
Very excited.
So we are asking you to actively engage, because you need to engage so that you can get the juice from these speakers. Ask questions, make comments, because not only will you be asking questions and making comments, you can also win some great prizes. And the prizes, you know, in Nigeria today, we really need airtime. So I want to be the one to win the airtime. I don't know about you, so please kindly participate and engage. And when the questions are going to be asked in the trivia questions, please also participate so that you can win. And not only for the trivia question, the person that has the highest engagement will also get to have a prize at the end of this program. So please kindly participate. So as I'm looking at you now, I'm looking at you, press the like and the share button. So without wasting much of our time, I believe that our guest speakers are already seated to bless us with the knowledge and the wisdom that God has deposited in them through their years of experience. So without wasting much time, let's briefly introduce, because they have a lot of credentials and we cannot, if you read them today, the time will have gone. So we will just briefly introduce them, and I'm very sure they don't like to show themselves like that. They are just so without wasting much time, the first speaker that we are going to be having today is Mrs. Adetola Salau. She is a global educator. She's an engineer, the founder and director of Charisma for You Educational Foundation. She is especially passionate about STEM education in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. And she has been so gracious to share her time with us, because presently she's supposed to be in a meeting, but she said she doesn't want to deny us of our wisdom. So she will spend some time with us today. And we are so happy that to have you here, Mrs. Adetola Salau. And we are grateful for your participation. My colleague will introduce the next speaker.
All right. Thank you very much, Taiwo.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'll be on the video very soon.
Okay.
All right. The next speaker for today is Mrs. Adeidunnu Uba. I'll also briefly do an intro of who she is and what she does. So Mrs. Adeidunnu Uba is the executive consultant of Simply Unforgettable and a partner of Prolisis Advisory Service. She is into HR consulting, having worked with oil and gas industries for years. Let's make welcome Mrs. Adeidunnu Uba.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma.
And you can see that we have tried to do a summary of their credentials. Praise the Lord. And the last person that I will be introducing is a man, so that we don't have only women here. So we have Mr. Seun Sobo. He's a creative and multi-gifted, young, talented man. And wait to hear this, just hear this. He is one of the Nigeria's leading voice-over artists. How many of you listen to all these voiceovers on radio and the rest? He is one of the leading voice-over artists and the founder of the Voice-Over Academic. Mr. Seun Sobo, we are glad to have you here and we welcome you into our midst. Thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Okay.
Is Mr. Seun? Okay, I think he's there. Is it there? Okay, maybe he's still trying to. Okay. Okay, I think he's going to join us. He's going to join us as we progress. So I would ask Glory. And by the way, I forgot to mention my name. I'm so sorry to forget. My name is Taiwo. I'm just Taiwo, simply Taiwo. And I have a colleague there with me. She's going to mention her name. So please do the honors of mentioning your name to the viewers. Okay, I think she just left somewhere around here now. Okay. Okay, she's back. Okay, so please.
Okay.
Can you please do us the honors to mention your name to the people listening?
It's on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you.
All right. Okay, so I'll quickly jump into the questions we have for today. So our topic is positioning your career for the future, positioning your career now for the future of work relevance. So and I'm going with the dictionary definition of what I have as career. I'll read. Career is an occupation undertaken for a significant period of time, basically during a person's lifetime, for a period of time, and with opportunities for progress. So if we say there is opportunity for progress, that means we could then say career is actually supposed to be progressive, right? So over to Mrs. Salau. Can you please share your thoughts on what you think that means, or you could also help out to do a definition of what you feel or what you think a career is?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
hear you.
Okay, how are you?
Fine,
We're
thank
fine.
Good morning, everyone. Have I said good morning? No, I haven't. So I'm saying good morning now. And I wanted to make sure that I have light so you can see me clearly. Okay. Please repeat the question again.
Okay, so
I did a definition of definition we got
You
from
need
the
a what?
dictionary. I did a definition. Can you hear me, ma?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, we had a definition of what career is, and I'll read it again from the dictionary. So I said, career is an occupation undertaken
Mhm.
for a significant period of a person's life and with opportunities for progress. So I was saying career is supposed to be progressive, right? Going with this dictionary definition. So we're saying, can you please share your thoughts on what you think or what career is from your own perspective?
Wow, that's a good one. That is a good one for our young ones. From my perspective, well, I'll say from my experience, sorry about that. From my experience, career, profession. Okay, yeah, because it's profession. Okay. Yeah, to me, career is, I like to look at it as a journey. Yes, I like to look at it as a journey because from my own experience, it is not a linear progression. Sorry, I'm a scientist, a mathematician, so we always have to think in our own language, in our own lingo. And in my own understanding, things are either sequential where they go from point A to point B, or what's the other word? What's the other one? The geometric, where they now go in various, they go through various interfaces. And from my own experience, what I've seen in life is not sequential, it's not point A to point B. It actually is geometric, where you might say, oh, I'm supposed to be A and then I'm going to B. And somehow you might end up seeing yourself in K. That's what happened to me. I mean, when I was in school, actually, not just even when I was saying, when I mean school, I'm talking about when I was in undergrad. Sorry, when I was in undergrad, but even beyond when I was in undergrad, when I was in secondary school, when I made a decision that I wanted to be an engineer, that was it. And that was all I spoke about at that period. And that was what I told everybody, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be an engineer. I wrote it down. I said it to myself every day. I told my dad, everything I did at that point, and that point was 13. From the age of 13 until when did I enter undergrad? When did I graduate? I graduated at 13 and 21. From that point, okay, 7 years, wow. From 13 or 8 years, from 13 to 21, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be an engineer. Unfortunately, I got into a graduate program for engineering, chemical engineering at a really, really good school. And I started the program and I was happy, I was learning. But right there in the middle of that program, I realized, oh my God, this is really not what I really want to do. But because I had told everybody that this is what I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm the kind of person, I don't like to quit. Once I start something, once I've said I'm going to do something, I don't like to stop midway. So I continued. But I did find something else that I liked. And I look back now, sometimes I am filled with regrets. Notice I say sometimes. I found out that environmental engineering courses held more interest for me. So I started taking some coursework in that area. But because I already told myself and told everyone I was going to become a chemical engineer, I took, I think, 3 courses. Yes, I took 3 courses there. But I stopped. I stopped myself. I said, no, I'm not going to pursue this. I already told myself I'm going to be a chemical engineer. I'm going to finish this. So I finished that program. And then I also got another master's in engineering management, because I was like, oh, I also noticed that as I was taking some courses in the business school, because my university has a fantastic business school. And I said, you know what, it's one thing for you to be in the engineering side of things, but you need to understand management, what's going on there. And later on in life, I found out that I was right. You need to understand what's happening in management too, because the decisions they make there affect engineers and affect everybody. So I started taking courses in management. I'm like, oh, wow, this is good. And when they now started telling me about the engineering management program, I said, okay, sign me up. I'll do that. So I ended up having a double master's, getting a double master's. But the thing is, I now came out with this engineering degree, and then I started looking for work in that area. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about how my life segued, but long and short is, that year that I graduated, I did not enter engineering. I ended up being in education. And when I started with education, even that, I was kicking and screaming when I entered that. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on that today. And even when it was time to say, okay, you know what, let me go back to engineering, I found out that I had totally, absolutely fallen in love with education. And eventually, when I came back to engineering, I did not stay for long because my heart was already in academia. So it's a progression. You might start here, but who knows all the other places you're going to segue. And a lot of it has to do with your skills. A lot too have to do with your interest. But even beyond that, opportunity. That's another thing I've also learned too, opportunity. You'll be amazed how something you never even thought about, that door might just open. And it might just be that right time for you to walk through that door because your skills, your interests, everything collide together there. Why not take advantage of it? Why not walk through? So
Great, great. You have said a lot here. And please, if you are watching us online, please grab your jotters and your pen because already I've already gotten my own first lesson that career is a journey, not a one-stop process. But before I ask the next question, I would want to introduce myself again and also my colleague. I got the feedback that some people did not hear our names, and it's not good to talk to strangers. So my name is Taiwo Oyemakinwa, and the name of my colleague is, please, Glory Samuel Adebajo. Thank you very much. Okay, I think you need
yeah,
to. Your
say your
output is
name
very
louder.
low.
Yeah. Say your name louder. I didn't hear you clearly. Yes.
Glory Samuel Adebajo.
Okay, thank you.
Great. So, but before I would like to ask Mrs. Adeidunnu, does she have anything to add to that definition of career as Mrs. Salau just said? Maybe in just 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope I'm clearly audible.
Very audible.
Okay. Hi, Sister Tola. Good to see you. And thanks
Hey.
for taking the time to be here.
Of course.
Okay. Taiwan and Glory, good to see you as well. Couple of quick things. I mean, I don't think I could have put it better than Salau has done. The only additional comments that I'd just like to make. So a couple of comments that Glory made at the start. She had talked about a definition that assumed a single profession, right? That is progressing through time. And I think that's one of the things that Sister Tola kind of addressed. If we kind of step back a bit and look at the word, I found it really, really interesting. How many of us know that the root of the word career, obviously a lot of our English words are from Latin. You'd be surprised at what the root word for career in Latin is. It's caros. And caros, it means chariot. And that for me, caros means chariot. So
wow, so I was in the spirit.
Absolutely. So young people think about this. The whole point of careers is motion, movement. And it's not about movement for no reason. Nobody gets up out of their house, gets into a chariot, just wander around. Even if you're driving around, maybe it's for relaxation, but there's a purpose, right? So the thing that I would like to add to this thing about career, it's that we need to recognize that a career, yes, it's about doing work, but it's about doing work for a reason. So let's remember that career is a chariot. It's something that is a vehicle to help us go from one place to another. It's something that is supposed to help us express a particular type of motion that we want to make. Okay, so sometimes when we think about these things, let's remember that looking backwards at what the root words are also help us. So that's just the addition that I'd like to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful addition. That chariot and carrot not was great. So, actually, I had a first question to ask before, but looking at the direction of the discourse so far, I would ask the second question instead. A lot of young people are enrolled in courses in university, especially in the part of the world we come from today, which isn't their first choice. The question I'm going to ask is this. Are you saying, from what you have said so far, that the positioning of career starts from what we study in school, or is it about what we do while in school? there's a difference between what we study and what we are doing while in school. So, which one really fits in from all what you have said so far about this career topic? I
Who's
would
the
address
question
that
for?
question to Mrs. Adeidunnu.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, Brother Taiwo. So, frankly, I think Sister Tola has also answered it somewhat when she when she was speaking about her journey. But it's a really great question because sometimes people don't remember that our entire lives are a transition and a trajectory. I have a slightly different story to Sister Tola's, but very similar in many ways. And I also draw a parallel from the Bible. Obviously, we're talking about careers, but we're talking about careers in the context of youth that are looking to position for relevance in a godly context. Now, let's think through somebody who was very successful as a, if you want to say career, in their type of career or profession in the scriptures. I'll take King David. Till today, King David is one of the most, practically the most successful king of Israel, correct? Let's think about it that way. Now, let's think through King David's trajectory, okay? King David started off as a shepherd. Looks like something completely unrelated to where he was going in the final analysis, okay? So, but if you think about it, the skills that he learned doing shepherding in the woods or in the forest, in the wilderness, ended up being so critical to what he was going to do 20, 30, 40 years down the line. In fact, some would call him the shepherd of Israel, right? So that's one example. And if you can think through his trajectory, he was not just a shepherd boy, he was also a singer-songwriter, right? So you're seeing so many different things that are pulling into how he was able to impact his world and how he was able to be relevant. And I'm sure we'll talk about the question of relevance as we go forward, because relevance is relative. Relevant to what? Relevant to who? To heaven, to earth, to myself, or what exactly? But let me not digress. Let me stick to the question as we state. So it's entirely possible that what we think may not be so relevant for our future careers today may actually be building us up for opportunities that we'll see in the future. I studied law. I practiced law for maybe 2 to 3 years, actual practice, after spending about 6 to 7 years studying law in school. But I cannot imagine doing what I do today without having had that foundation of understanding, logical thinking, research, being able to look through volumes and pull data together. So it's a whole trajectory. What's my point? Every experience that we have in life builds up into learning. And as we start to talk about the skills that are needed for the future of work, learning agility, the ability to grow, expand, and learn very, very quickly, and what we call pivot very quickly is one of the most important skills that we need today and to position for the future. So let's start to think about it now. What you're doing in university will help. You may not totally like it, but there are other things that you can also do to pull skills together. I taught while I was in school. I was teaching. At that time, little did I know that I was going to end up becoming a facilitator as we go along. So I taught in school. I sold clothes in school. Today, I do business. So, there's a whole conglomerate of things. Every opportunity that we have, without splitting ourselves into many different spaces, let's learn, let's grow, and remember that we're on a trajectory with God. I hope that answers the question.
Very, very well.
Perfectly well, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Okay, to the third question, and this is directed to Mrs. Salau. Sorry.
Sorry, before you ask the third question, sorry, please. I think Mr.
Alright.
Seun Sobo is already here with us, so we would also like to welcome him for joining us and thank you for gracing us with your presence. We introduced you, but while you were,
Yeah, I
you
was
know,
struggling with the internet. Thank you so much. I
okay,
appreciate it.
yeah, we appreciate your presence with us, and we are waiting to glean from you.
And
So,
God will help us.
so
Welcome,
what
sir.
do you
All right, thank you. Okay, so back to the third question. A lot of young people are enrolled. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so third question. For a lot of people with careers in recent times, most of us now have a role reversal. So I think Mrs. Adeidunnu already spoke on that particular topic a bit. So I'll take that to them. For a lot of us people with careers, in recent times, most of us now have a role reversal. And what we know as work today is totally and rapidly changing. What is your advice to stay relevant?
My advice around being relevant can be summed up in with two words. Oh, three. Abi? Yeah, three. Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. I started by summarizing it with that catchphrase or those keywords so that that can stick in one's mind. The way the world is working now and has been working for a while is you might think you were okay. I mean, I mentioned my own story. I went to school to be an engineer. I mean, fortunately for me anyway, the skills that engineering gives you are very diverse and you can use them for so many things. But anyway, I went to school for engineering, and most people must have said, you're going to do something in the pharmaceutical industry,
Sir?
or maybe oil and gas, or maybe something in manufacturing, something along that line.
You will tell them, or should I?
I mean, something, but it's
Sorry.
something
Sorry for
completely, I'm
this.
doing something completely, okay. I'm doing something that is completely different from what people expected and what I expected myself. And that comes down to learning that what we said that is a journey, number one. And number two, if we're honest with ourselves, life is really, really unpredictable. You cannot predict a lot of things. And in order to do that, it's key to be able to equip yourself with skills that can be translated to various things. I remember just recently I was telling someone that, I'm doing a lot of things in education, the education space. Even my doctoral program is in education. But I said, you know what? Even with that, within me, I keep getting this prompting and this urging inside me that I should understand that I don't know whether it's that space I'm going to continue in the next 5 years or 10 years, but I should make sure that no matter what, whatever skills, whatever things that I'm doing are things that I can now utilize in another sphere, in another sector. And the person who I was speaking to, because she has a lot of experience as a coach, working with executives and leaders, she said, oh, yes. The way the world is working now, you could be one day, I'm just giving an example. I mean, like mine, one day you could be in oil and gas, and the next day you can wake up and you are in trade. Another day they can tell you, you know what, I want you to come manage this organization and they're doing, climate change. And are you going to say, oh, no, I can't do that? You're supposed to say, you know what, okay, based on the fact that I led so people through this kind of project, I was able to do this, I was able to do that. Even if this is a totally different field than I'm used to, I can jump in there and I can use my skills. And again, let me use myself as an example. I can use my skills as a researcher to go and find out the underlying issues and what are the ones that I should focus on the most. And okay, as a leader, I can now sit down and put together a great team in a project that, okay, guys, I'm going to designate each of you to different roles. You should make sure that whatever you're doing, the skills you're developing, building, constantly translate, which means you're constantly building yourself, you're constantly learning. I was with a guy yesterday, and this guy had, I don't have a folder here to show you guys. They're over there. He had 3 huge binders like this of various certificates from various courses, various organizations that he was a fellow at. And I was so impressed. I said, my God, you've never, ever relented in constantly developing yourself. I said, wow, that's admirable. And that's something that I would love for a lot of our youth who are a part of this program to understand that always keeps you a step ahead of anything that is going on. Even if they tell you today, you're working in a bank, and they say, oh, guys, we're laying off 50 workers, we're laying off 100. Because you are constantly taking those courses, because you're constantly a fellow in social programs. Even if maybe the sector that now all of a sudden says, you know what, we're looking for people, give you an example, taxation. Because you've constantly been taking these courses, you've constantly been making sure that you're up to date, you're a member of all these different organizations, you're a fellow, people recognize your work, people recognize your value. That organization that has work around taxation, of course, they're going to look at your portfolio and say, you know what, this guy will be a valuable member of our team. We want him. That's the position you want to be in.
Great. Thank you for those insights. I would like to go to Mr. Sobo now. I was checking through your profile last night, and I was so curious. What is a man? And since we are talking about role reversal, a man who studied botany, botany in the University of Lagos, how did he find himself in voiceover as a voiceover artist? So I think since we are talking about role reversal and how it is affecting our world in this present day, especially during this COVID era, just maybe in just 2 to 3 minutes, can you take us through how you transition from botany to voiceover, and maybe somebody can learn from your experience also?
All right. For me, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can.
All right. So for me, it was a good afternoon, a good morning, or good afternoon. It's still morning though, just a few minutes to afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. But let me just take you through my story. When I was in the university, I actually got in with zoology. I got into study zoology at the University of Lagos. My year 2, I went for a course in my year 2. The course was on branding, right? Branding and brand advertising. And I knew that I had made a huge mistake, right? Studying what I was studying. Although, right from secondary school, everybody, my parents will always tell me that I was an arts inclined person. But, and that's actually unusual for parents to do that. But I would say, because they also gave me the impression that sciences was where the brains were, so they'll say, you have to be in a science class, petroleum engineering, chemical engineering. So for me, it was a major thing. I wanted to be what my parents loved to see me be, right? So I was in the science class. I did sciences all through my senior secondary school. And then I got into university to study the same sciences. So it was zoology. And then from zoology, I wasn't just getting it. Like my year 1 was good, it was okay, but I wasn't just, for me, it was a bit confusing, Yeah. So my year 2, I went for a course. My year 2 first semester, I went for a course called Brand Orange Academy War Room. And then from there, I was able to actually realize that I was actually born for that marketing communication space, right? And in the same year too, a friend of mine introduced me to a talent company. I just felt, okay, with this, I can at least make some money for myself, because my parents, it wasn't like they were doing bad, but they didn't have the kind of money that they used to have, right? So I used to try to sing then. So my friend took me to the talent agency and said, that they do jingles and all, that if I want to, I should try, maybe they should audition me. So they auditioned me and they picked me. After picking me, I was able to start work that night. In fact, the first job we did was for now Airtel V Mobile then, right? So we did that and it was amazing. But what happened was when I went to record, so realized that they picked me for singing, right? But when I got there and I spoke, I said some things. I was just talking and I said some things. I said, what? This voice is for voiceover. This voice is for voiceover. So he told me to go to the booth and record something. So these were things I used to do when I was young. I would take a cassette tape and then just record and be talking to it, myself and my cousin. I remember clearly. I didn't even know it was voiceover, So I recorded that day, and since then, till now, as I speak to you, I've been using my voice, to make money. Now, for me, the defining time was when I did this very popular, probably rumored to be Nigeria's biggest commercial. Skybank, Saying Yes to Your Dreams, I mean, people sang it all over the world. People said it was on CNN. I watched it on CNN a couple of times, but I now discovered that, wow, so my voice can go this far. Even my mother, that wasn't in support of it before, started telling me, that's my son. That's my son, So it became something like, right, But what for me, the defining moment was the fact that, so my voice can grow this much, win awards for companies, right? Change the destiny of companies, even though the company is dead now, and I was still paid peanuts, So I started researching about the business part of this voiceover thing, and I discovered so much, right? I discovered so much because I was so passionate about brands. I was passionate about, how they define how their campaigns were done. So I did a lot of research, and that's why I always tell young people, you are interested in an industry, don't just sit down and think, God to send somebody from heaven. No, you have to first start researching, start doing research. And the reason why a lot of today we have an organization that is actually frontline, especially in Africa, as regards this voiceover thing, is because we knew a lot of things beforehand, and we had already, proposed a lot of things. We had already seen a lot of things coming, and we're already prepared for it. We're already prepared for it. So it's for me, from Botany so when I finished with Botany, as at the time I finished with Botany, I already knew what I was going to do. I already knew what I was going to do with my life. So I wasn't even, there was no fear, I knew that once I finish school, I'm just going. When I finish, get the certificate, I give it to my parents. Thank you very much, for supporting me. Before I finished school, in my final year, the money from voiceover that I was making from voiceover, right? I was already giving my mother money for PHCN bills. I was already, I paid my final year school fees myself, right? So for me, it was something I would call early discovery. So this time, and I don't regret the fact that I studied botany. I believe that everything, is a part of your journey. So what time you have, if you're young now, I believe that you should use it to actually start discovering who you are, discover who you are. And from that discovery part, you're able to start drilling yourself by researching. And then, you keep fulfilling for purpose as time goes on.
Thank you very much for that apt and succinct answer. I don't know if Glory is, yeah, are you here, Glory?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Great, we can hear you, great. So can you follow up with some questions, or do you want me to continue?
Please continue.
Okay, great, because I have some thoughts here. Now, since we are talking about positioning our career for future relevance, and somebody may be looking at you and say, these people, they lived in the times when the world was still good, and they didn't have so much problem. Look at our own time now. COVID is everywhere. The people are losing jobs. There is no availability of jobs. Even the jobs that are there, they are not paying much, and the rest. Now, what should I do as a young person? For example, probably I have finished in school, and I am seeing that the course I studied in my university is not really going to be useful for me in this present world that we are in. How then can I adapt to this current world situation that we are in? I'm going to throw this question to Mrs. Adeidunnu. How do the course I studied in university is not going to be relevant again. I probably in 3 years ago before COVID, it was relevant, but now it may not be relevant again. How do I adapt, or should I just continue and say I will scale through and the rest? What do you advise me to do as a young person just leaving the university?
Thank you, Bro Taiwo. Very good question. And so the truth is, even if, in quotes, the course you studied is relevant today, what makes you think that particular course will be relevant 2 years from now? Right? So we have to realize, the first thing that we have to realize as young people living in the world today, that the pace of change is radical. I was reading something recently where in, I think it was 2010, there was somebody, a futurist, people who basically, the science of the future was saying, over the next 10 years, we're going to see the type of change that will equal 20,000 years worth of change, if you're thinking how change has happened over the last centuries or so. And I think there's nothing that any one of us can disagree with about that, having lived through the last 2 to 3 years. The fact that we are doing this as it is now is simple proof of that. There's no need for us to overflog that. When you come online today, you can't, when you're coming to do a program, it's difficult for you to say good morning or good afternoon because you're not sure where the person who is listening to you is at. So people just stick with hello, right? And that's one of the things that I think I want to put up front today. First of all, relevance means that we have to, and I think both Seun, Sobo and Adetola, Salau had spoken to that fact. You have to keep reinventing yourself. First thing is we need to be true to our core, but recognize that how we express it will need to keep mutating. And again, if I go back to the scriptures, it's the bones of Jesus that, needed not to be broken. The structure of the skeleton is the same. The flesh may change. I may be fat today, I may be slim tomorrow, I may be muscular, but the structure of the skeleton is what makes who I am. Having said that, staying relevant, whether I said everything I said to lay the foundation that even if I think my course is relevant today, I should stop deceiving myself. I read something from a fire chief who said, certificates are a license to learn. They are not a license that you know. Is that because the world that taught you what you learned when you got that certificate is not the world that you will be in 2 to 3 years from now. Okay, so certification or credentials is a license to learn. There was a research that was done, I think it was 1973, 1974 by Boeing. I'm answering the question, how do I stay relevant? And it goes back to learning agility, the understanding that I must be a lifelong learner. There was a research that was done by Boeing as far back as 1973, 1974. And they used fire chiefs, firemen in the US to do this research. They had a control group and they had another set of groups. What were they doing? They did really high-powered training for them, for all the groups. And then they left one group for 90 days without additional training and kept sending them to do the work on an ongoing basis. They had another group that they didn't train and didn't send to do the work. Then they had another group that they trained and sent to do the work. Of course, we can tell the difference between the three groups, right? Because there's this big debate around credentials versus competence. Some people are of the view that, book learning is irrelevant now. It's all about competencies. Some people are of the view that, no, my certificates are critical. My view is that you need both, especially in today's world. You have to be able to be a lifelong learner, read. But my reading is not just for book knowledge, because my book knowledge will be useless to me. I have to learn how to adapt what I know to what I want to be able to achieve. So it's about being able to understand that, look, these are the goals that we need to achieve, and these are the various skills I can pull together to achieve those goals. That's why we call it learning agility. So Brotai will, if I can summarize in one line, the critical things that will help me pivot, if you like, because that's how I hear your question. That'll help me pivot. It's a learning mindset. No matter how young or how old I am, I have to learn that I'm going to keep learning. The jobs that we have today, many of them didn't exist 5 years ago. I was looking at a report yesterday where one of the jobs that will be growing in the future is human-machine interface manager. And I thought to myself, human-machine interface manager, but it's an expression of the world we live in today. Machines are doing a lot of the things that used to be a big deal. A machine can be my accountant. So my ICANN is not going to do me much good the future. You know, a machine can be your doctor. A machine can be your lawyer. But what a machine cannot do today, and that's why the jobs that are growing, you know, we were focused on STEM a few years ago. These days, they call it STEAM. Why? Because there's a recognition that science, tech, mathematics, engineering are great, but the things that define us as people, as humans, as differentiated from robots that are doing a lot of what we can do, are those social skills. So the jobs and the spheres where we will be most relevant for the future are those jobs and spheres that combine an ability to understand life in the digital world, to be able to live within it, but to know that we are uniquely human and be able to use our social skills. And I always encourage people, take a look at the Future of Jobs report by the World Economic Forum. And you'll see that, and there's another report by, I'll mention it before we leave. Very, very interesting. The jobs that are growing are the jobs that combine that sort of ability with social skills. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. Before Glory asks the next question, I want to make this announcement. There will be questions. There will be trivia questions at the end of this session. So please kindly listen attentively. You may be the one to win this airtime that we are talking about. And please don't forget to like, share, so that your friends can also participate and enjoy from this wealth of knowledge. Over to you, Glory.
Okay. Also, we have viewers. If you have questions, follow-up questions on any of the discussion that has been going on, please send in your questions and we'll take them also. So now, while Mrs. Ba was talking, a word that came to mind was collaboration. So that brings me to my next question, and that's directed to Mr. Sobo. Okay, so now we have so it's a 2-in-1 question, so I'll just read both of them. Are you fine with that, sir?
Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead.
Sir. So we have how should entrepreneurs position themselves for relevance in the future? Then the follow-up question is collaboration something that will work for businesses today? So that's the question. Do you want me to read them again, or you're clear?
The first one is, how can entrepreneurs differentiate themselves, right?
Okay, so it's how can entrepreneurs position themselves for relevance in the future? Then is collaboration something that will work for businesses today?
Okay. All right. So number one, for positioning yourself for relevance, I'm very big on branding, right? And the truth is, when you say something is relevant, that means, you know, that thing is something that has a long-lasting effect, right? From generation to generation. So when you talk about relevance, you have to consider branding, right? It's very, very, it's critical, right? And that's the reason why you have so many brands, especially African brands, that do not last too long, right? You have brands that have had the capability of actually becoming major brands, but because they do not understand the critical issues as regards branding, they just, it just dies a natural death. And I always tell people, the fact that you're making money does not mean that your business, your brand is going to last for a long time, right? Branding does not involve, yes, it might lead it might lead to profit at some point, but the truth is, the goal is not profit. The goal is relevant and being significant for a long time, right? So when you're talking about branding, you're talking about brands like Coca-Cola, where you have to, first of all, find a way to discover what your brand DNA is. And that brand DNA is what Mrs. Adeidunnu was talking about being true to your core, right? And leaving that your core throughout everything around your business, right? And that's the way people say, oh, my business is a small business. It doesn't matter. Just first of all, discover what that core is. What is the core attribute, right, about that business, right? That anybody that sees it outside will know, oh, this is that business that we're talking about. For example, let's talk about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's core attribute or core DNA is refreshment, right? Coca-Cola never promised to satisfy you, right? The only thing that can satisfy you is water. right? So that is why every time you drink Coca-Cola, right? I'm not advertising for Coca-Cola. I'll even stop drinking it anyway. But every time you drink it, you hear there's some form of refreshment or refreshing that you feel, even though it's temporary, right? And that is what they promise to do. They're being true to their core, right? So everything that they sell, everything that they try to sell to you is being true to that core idea, right? Same thing with brands like Volvo, Disney, and the rest of them. But you see, there's a case study I always give, and this was a research I personally did myself, between Capri Sun and Okin Biscuit, right? Okin Biscuit, those were two major brands that ruled my childhood, right? Now, for what's it called? For Capri Sun, right? They were good products. Okin was a very good product. And will you tell me Okin did not make profit? Of course, I'm sure they made profit at some point, right? But what killed those brands, right, was the fact that there was no brand plan, right? There was no brand plan. But Capri Sun is still alive today because there was a brand plan, right? Today, Capri Sun is owned by Chi, and Coca-Cola owns 100% of Chi. Why? Because there was an intentional move to build that brand. That is, even when the person leaves, the person that started the brand, the person that founded the brand leaves, it still remains relevant for a long time. So if you want to position yourself, first of all, take care of your brand. Have a brand plan, not just have a business plan, but have a brand plan. And that's what a lot of people fail to do, have a brand plan. What plans do I have for this brand? What is the core idea? How do I interpret it through, my identity, my brand identity, my brand, my brand collaterals? How exactly what's my brand manual saying? A lot of times, the reason why a lot of people that work for people or that work for brands don't understand, they don't know what the brand is all about, and this is not staff manual. This is a brand manual that talks about the brand, so that when the person is messing up, the person knows that, oh, this is not what this brand stands for, right? So it's very, very, very important that you take your brand extremely seriously, which is why you don't even have a brand in Nigeria that wasn't started by a white person that is about 100 years old. If you have one, give it to me. I would gladly pay you. That wasn't started by a white man, or in Nigeria, that is 100 years old, right? So first of all, positioning for relevance or significance starts from the place of building a brand, because your brand is a living thing, right? Once you start it, it's a living thing. You have to keep it running, and you have to make sure that the heart of that business or that brand is still working, right? And that comes from actually discovering what the brand DNA is. Then the second question, collaboration.
Sorry, before you answer the second question.
All right.
Because we are aware that Mrs. Adetola Salau will soon be leaving us, we have one important question to ask because we know that she is so passionate about STEM, and so Glory will be asking that question.
Okay, so it's more like a discussion, anyways. More like we want you to share your thoughts. What's the relevance with technology and the future of work? Just give us some tips, something we need to know. There will be something definitely you have been longing to pass down to the next generation, or Generation Z as we call them. Let's know, what is it exactly you think this is a call that we need to hold on to?
Okay. The first thing that I really want them to hold on to is the fact that technology is a tool. It's something that facilitates, in my own perspective, and I know a lot of other people who share this perspective, it is a tool that facilitates ease. So I don't want them to be daunted, and I don't want them to be overwhelmed when people make tech to be this big arbiter of bringing about tremendous change, and all it is a tool. For example, we're talking about the fact that we're using Zoom now to be able to facilitate all these meetings and carry out programs across the globe and meet with people. There were other tools, and there will keep on being other tools. I hope we know that as we're speaking, there are still other people who will be tweaking and making other iterations. So all it is a tool. So being that, with that perspective and with that mindset, I want them to understand that it is their it is their purview, or I'll say it's a mandate that they have, that they're also they should utilize this tool to bring about ease and solve, I call them challenges, I don't like to call them problems, to solve the challenges that are around our environment, that we are relying on them, and they should also rely on themselves to utilize it as a tool to solve those challenges. Anything that perplexes us or makes us say, oh my God, what do we do around this? They should sit down and ask themselves, how can I infuse tech in this? And it shouldn't be something that is so out of the ordinary. It could be something very simple. And that's why I like when people say, use the word low tech or high tech. It could be something very simple as using a pencil. Pencil is technology. Before, people were writing with chalk. I hope we know that. It could be something as very simple as using very easy procurable materials around them. Or it could be, yes, something that has to do with an app, or sitting down and now saying, okay, how do we infuse machine learning in this, But the point is, try to bring in that tool to say, how do we solve this problem? So the heart of everything that we're going to be doing, by God's grace, for the next 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years will be problem solving. So if they're able to position themselves where they have that mindset to constantly look around them and say, okay, this is happening. How do I solve this? How do I go about this? I like to surround myself with people who are thinking like that. And my charge to them, there you go, because I have to leave them with a charge. My charge to them will be, surround yourself with people like that. If you see yourself around people that are constantly complaining, actually, I don't even want to use the word complaining because it means whining, constantly whining about the problems in this country. I want you to remind them that, you know what, you are complaining, but there are a lot of people, and I run into these people whenever I'm traveling and I'm coming back to Nigeria. They're filling these planes and they're coming here because they realize there's so much potential here. They're coming here, they want to solve these problems because they realize that if they solve these problems here, they're going to be millionaires, multi-millionaires, and billionaires. So you are here. I'm not saying that the environment is easy. I am not saying it's going to be a cake in the walk, but the potential is here. Sometimes maybe you might have to step away from the environment for a while and then come back to it so that you can have a fresh perspective, whatever it takes. But just having in the back of your mind that you are going to be a problem solver, you are going to be one of those problem solvers. And the way you're going to do it in this century and beyond is infusing tech, whether it's low tech or high tech, whatever it is. So that's what I'm going to leave them. Not just them, even us. I'm going to leave us with that.
If I can, I don't know if you have just like 2 minutes to spare. You talked about environment. You talked about environment, and for many of us listening, we are in Africa, okay, and we know that the government is not helping in terms of funding this science, technology, engineering, and maths that we are talking about that can further and help our career. So what can I, as a person, where can I get sources that I can use? Mr. Sobo talked about researching and the rest. Since I am in Africa and I cannot travel to the other side of the world, in this place that I am, how can I get resources? Where can I get resources on this probably low technology or technology that I can use to further my relevance, since the government is not able to help me as much as I want them to?
Okay. Let me be very, very specific on that one, okay? I was telling a group of teachers, wow, it's a month now, time flies. I was telling a group of teachers a month ago that when I started teaching, everything you wrote down your lesson plan, you had to sit down and brainstorm. And in my case, I sat down with my other colleagues who are more experienced and pick their brains, or I'll ask them, bring your notebook, let me see what you've done. And I'll start reading and going over that. I said, you know what? The internet has leveled that playing field. Now you just go on Google and boom, it's at your fingertips. In fact, if anything, we have overload of information now. So you have to be very smart to be able to decipher the gems because there's so much. So in that same, what would I call it, purview or mindset? No, not mindset. In that same understanding, there you go, that's the word I want. In that same understanding, anyone who is looking for something, anyone who is looking for knowledge, it's there. It's actually there. I'm always pleasantly, yes, I actually use that word. I'm always pleasantly surprised when I'm doing research and I'm putting things together, how much is out there. It's for you to make a conscious decision that you want to go and find it. Look, YouTube blows my mind all the time. And you know why I say it blows my mind? I'm not talking about even me. Every time I come home in the evening or sometimes in the afternoon, or even during the weekends when my son and I are talking, when he starts sharing things that he's learned, I start learning all over again. Sometimes I might not write things down immediately, but I take mental notes and I say, you know what, I want to go back and check that out, because he comes back with so much that he understands that I'm blown away and I'm like, wow, imagine that. And if I remember, let me give you a perfect example. I think it was last week, we were watching, he subscribes to this channel, I think that's what they call them, channel on YouTube. And this guy focuses on teaching biology, but he teaches it in such an engaging, relevant way, where he talks about different habits of these animals, things that you didn't know about them, their dietary habits, the habits of, how they've adapted to their environment, things like that. And we were listening to this guy talk about, God forgive me, but the animals that were very, very wicked. You see, such a catchy way to grab your attention. And the different traits and personality, that they exhibit. And as I was listening to that, I kept saying to myself that I hated biology in secondary school. In fact, immediately that bell rang, I knew it was time for biology. I think my body almost broke out in hives. And I was telling those teachers in that same program I was in, who are the biology teachers? And I started cursing all of them that you guys are the ones that made me hate science. I mean, thank God I still ended up as science student, but I said, with you guys alone, God knows. But anytime, my son turns on our YouTube channel and we're listening, I am engrossed. I am listening. I am picking out facts. I am actually going back. Seriously, I go back on my phone and I say, let me check about this animal. What did they say? I'm curious. And that's one of the key things that we want to be curious. But when you're curious, automatically you go back and find out more information and you learn. So I want to encourage our students to say, yes, I'm not learning, this teacher is not teaching me this in class. I don't even know what they're saying, but on your own, that data that you're going to go and use to go and watch funny stuff on YouTube, please still watch you, but also give yourself that, okay, if I'm going to spend 1,000 Naira, I'm going to buy, what do we normally get? For 1,000 Naira, we normally get about 3 gig. Okay, out of that 3 gig, at least let me dedicate 1.5 gig out of that 3 gig to going to YouTube, learning something new today. Let me make it a point of duty that every single day, I will watch 1 or 2 videos that will teach me something new, whether it's in the area of biology, whether it's in the area of economics, whether it's in the area of to learn new things about another nation. You never know where you'll be. In 2018, when I was in Australia, I never in my wildest dreams knew I was going to be in Australia in 2018. I've always told myself that it was one of the places I want to visit on my bucket list. Fortunately, I did go. Unfortunately, before I went there, I learned some things about the place. I could relate to people when I went there and spoke to them about, this city that you have here, and this time this happened in your country and that happened in your country. When you do that, people perk up and they pay attention to you more and they listen to you and they're happy to talk to you because they see that you have an interest about them. So they too, they want to learn about you too. And then you see all of a sudden that they're always surrounding themselves. They want to be around you. They want to help you. You never know. So please, do not have that mindset of scarcity. Do not have that mindset of, it's just too difficult. What's the point? Why should I learn? You're actually in one of the best eras when it comes to learning. The ball actually is in your court. You don't have to, why am I even just only mentioning YouTube? Let me even go beyond that. Udemy, during COVID, during the lockdown, that's what I was doing. I was on Udemy, I was on Philanthropy University, I was on Coursera. Yes, I was on 3 of them. I was constantly taking courses. If I had my planner from last year, let me see, do I have it around me? I could show you, where is it? I could show you that I made a timetable for myself. Let me see, is this it? I had a timetable, this is 2020. I had a timetable for myself. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, this is 2020. Okay, good. I had a timetable for myself where in the morning, I did this. In the afternoon, I did this. In the evening, I did this. See, it's even here. I never just stopped. See, it's beautiful. See it there. Let me show you. See, 7 a.m., walk out and read. 9 a.m., eat, read, and then give myself a break. 10 a.m., doctoral work. 12 a.m., Udemy, Coursera, Philanthropy U. 2 p.m., doctoral work. 4 p.m., I'm going to take a break. 5 p.m., doctoral work. Then I'll take a walk in the evening with my son. Then around 8, I'll quickly take a break. And then by 8:30, I'll go back again to my doctoral work. Then I'll give myself a break at 10 p.m. Then maybe come back and review by 10:30 and then stay up to about midnight. Then from midnight, I'll now say, okay, you know what, let's call it a day. That was my schedule. That was my schedule. That was my schedule. So
Wow.
you have no excuse.
Wow.
You have no excuse.
Great. I am
None.
so grateful that you mentioned all these steps because most today, many of us young ones, we just see people that are so successful in their career and we don't know the steps they took to get there, the rigors and the sacrifices they took to get there. We just want to, like they say in Nigerian parlance, we want to blow just like that. But we are so thankful for your participation. I know that you have a meeting right now, so we'll be
Yes,
thank you once again for joining us, and we'll continue with the two
discussion.
panels we have here. Yes, thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you, sis.
Wow.
All right.
So I have a question for Mr. Seun and Mrs. Adeidunnu, and I want you to answer this question to get. And because we don't have much time, so maybe you just take 1 minute, just 1 minute, 2 minutes. I know you have a lot to share, but time is of the essence. So 1 minute, 2 minutes, please. I have a question here from the viewers. I don't know if Glory is there. Is Glory there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, do you want to?
I was actually saying
Okay.
Mr. Sobo was supposed to conclude on the collaboration. I'm
Oh
particularly
yes,
interested in that
yes,
conclusion.
true that. So, Mr. Shubo, you were about to answer that question.
Yes. I'm trying to remember because it was something about collaboration, right? If I'm correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you
So
rephrase the question so that you can understand again? Or you don't have
Okay.
it? Yeah.
I do. Just a
I think
minute.
you said something about what is the place of collaboration in this dispensation, right?
Just a minute. Maybe I think she will just so that you can get the perspective of the question. Yeah.
Okay, collaboration for the relevance of business.
Okay, so it's collaboration something that will work for businesses today.
Oh, of course.
So more like today and the future.
Yeah, collaboration is major. It's going to be. It's
Can you
something
hear me,
that.
sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Did you get the question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. So no, collaboration is going to be. It has been, it still is, and it will forever be. It's something that is very necessary for every business. You need to collaborate with people and to make sure that as much as possible. I mean, I remember there was a time, although we didn't get the project done, but I know we're still going to do many things together. There was a time I was planning to do one of the biggest conferences in Africa, and was supposed to be put together and structured and designed by Mrs. Adeidunnu, right? And we're collaborating. She wasn't a voiceover talent, but she understood. Right now, I'm telling you that compared to some voiceover talents, she knows a lot of things about the industry. That's the truth. Why? Because as at that time, we did a lot of research together, did a lot of collaborating, we spoke about different things. Even I also understood the back end of events planning and, structuring events and the rest of that. So, I mean, collaboration is it's always been, like I said, it will be, it is, and it will forever be, it's the road, to networking, number one. Number two, it's also the road to learning much more, right? Learning much more about different businesses and the rest of that. And of course, you never just know. There was a lady who we collaborated with on a project, and that project took her to the UN, right? Because she did that project in our studio. We said, okay, just come record it. Let's see what we can do. So we made sure we put it together for her. We put everything together for her. And they shared that video, and some way it got to the UN. And one of the ambassadors, called her for a meeting. And she did it in Hausa, I mean, who would have thought, right? So collaboration is key. It's key for success. It's key for relevance. It's key for businesses in this day and age. However, when you're collaborating, know the difference between collaboration and partnerships, right? If it's partnerships, you know that it has to be, you have to have some legal framework or legal backing, right? But if it's collaboration, right, if you know that, okay, it's a win-win for both of us, and it's not something that, it is something that is a one-off thing that we're doing and we're going to do it, or we have an agreement to do it once in a while, maybe, or once in a quarter or once in a year, then it shouldn't be something that, well, maybe some people will say you should have a legal framework too, but I feel like once you have an agreement, between each other, but if it's a partnership, you know that this is business and we're doing this as business partners.
Great, thank you for that. Glory, okay, I would ask the next question. Or do you have a question there, Glory?
Wanted to ask a question from our viewers from Facebook, I think.
Okay, great. You can go ahead.
Okay, so this question is basically from Queenslin Ndubisi Godwin. If career is a vehicle, chariot, which signifies movement, it means it's not an end on its own, but a means to an end. What is the end point of career?
Is that question for me?
Yes, because you were the one that
Yes, ma.
Obviously.
Very good. I was hoping that somebody would ask that question. So the whole point of careers is an expression of God's purpose on earth. Okay, so we need to remember, as I said at the beginning, that the whole context here is that we are speaking to young people who are looking to remain relevant. And I remember I said at the start that relevance is relative. And I need to define my sphere of relevance. The very, very first sphere of relevance for me as a child of God is in the space where God wants me to be. Everything else revolves around that. Okay, so my career is a vehicle for the expression of God's life. That's the bottom line. And that's why we always say that we do not have a secular life versus a spiritual life. Okay, we are meant to be, in fact, if you look at some of the definitions of career, it's about a public expression of life. And you are publicly expressing what is in there. Typically when people say, oh, how do I succeed? You can only succeed if you have something to succeed about. If there's nothing there, then there's nothing to express. So you have a lot of people who can talk. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of fluff, but there's no substance. So short answer to the question is the vehicle of career is meant to help us express God's life. And that's why we have to be very good at what we do, because we are representatives of Jesus Christ in the marketplace. Believers who are substandard at what they do are misrepresenting Jesus Christ. And that's why I gave the example of King David as well. As a shepherd boy, King David, as young as he was, if his parents did not consider him competent, the sheep would all be dead. This guy put his life on the line, went after a lion to protect the sheep. That is commitment. That is excellence to the core. As king, he did the same thing. As a singer-songwriter, we are still listening and taking out learnings from his songs today. So whatever sphere is, whatever vehicle that I am using to express it, I have to remember that I am representing Jesus. Queenslin, I hope I've answered your question.
I'm sure you did, ma. Okay, that's bro Taiwo, do you have any follow-up
Seun
questions?
is smiling like he has something to say about this subject.
I was about to ask him, does he have anything to add about this?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay. Let me also ask this question that I have here. We have been talking about people getting, maybe we probably have been talking about somebody that is working for an employee. Do you consider somebody who is a business owner or a sole proprietorship or probably even an entrepreneur? I don't know if I should call you an entrepreneur, but you will answer that yourself. Do you consider them as a career person? And if you consider them as a career person, what should they be doing in this present time? Don't forget, COVID has affected a lot, and there is not enough money to spend again, and the rest. What should they be doing to be able to be relevant in their own space as an entrepreneur, or probably as just a one-man business, or as a, and you know, in the sphere of life that we have, most times some people just, when we leave university, some of us just quickly start. Maybe I see many young people today, they, on their WhatsApp status, they are selling fashion, clothes, shoes, watches, and the rest, just before they can get a job. So we could call those people like a one-man business entrepreneur. And who knows, some of them, some people might become successful through that. Would you call that as a career? And if you say yes to that, what should such people be doing to be relevant in this present? I will address that question to Mr. Sobo.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I mean, you can build a business to the point of a career, you know, and make it, because what is a career? It's something that you constantly do, and then it's something that you like she said, is an expression of, you know, of what God has given you, your God-given potential, expressing it, you know, and using it to bless the world, right? So, obviously, as an entrepreneur or something, or you started something, maybe some people start business because they feel like, okay, there's something that they need to do to at least make some ends meet. But some people turn it to actually their life, you know. Like, for example, I started voiceover, even though, you know, I didn't go out to say, oh, I wanted to start voiceover, but somebody saw me and said, oh, this is your voice. Yes, I've been hearing things about my voice, you know, but he said, this is your voice. Oh, you need to start using it for voiceovers and stuff. And then I started, and I discovered that I liked it. But I discovered that I didn't just want to do it the way everybody was doing it. I didn't want to be the desperate voiceover talent that everybody wanted to be. I wanted to be different, right? I wanted to make it a career. I wanted it to be something that somebody would finish school and say, I want to be a voiceover talent, right? So I decided to, you know, structure it, put some structure to it. I decided to start training people, you know, and today the case is different, right? I mean, we can humbly say that we actually started, you know, what we've called the contemporary voiceover industry, right? We have the veterans, but we basically started but I was still with somebody yesterday, and she was telling me, Sobo, you know, before you started, I don't even know if anybody still does voiceover in this country. I said, of course, people still do. People have been doing it before me, right? He said, but you made me aware, you know. I said, yeah, so that's the whole idea. We've turned it to something that, okay, now people can use and make a career, because I know people right now, especially people who have graduated from our academy, who that is what they do, right? Full time, right? One of them is, you know, is flying out in the next few days, you know, for a job outside the country. So that's how it is, you know, you can actually turn it into a career. So whatever business you're doing, if it's something that you believe that you're passionate about, and you would like to put some structure behind it, you know, it's something that you can obviously make a career. I mean, in the heat of COVID, when a lot of people were complaining, we were increasing salaries, we were making money, you know, in COVID, because people were passing messages from A to B. So you needed the voice to pass that message from point A to point B, right? But when people were crying in COVID, me, I wasn't crying. I won't lie to you. I think, Father, I give you praise. You know, so
That's amazing.
you know, yeah. So and
Are
now
some people
everybody,
praying for COVID not to end?
of course, we're praying for COVID to go. Of course, I mean, I like to go out. So I mean, I didn't like the fact that I was just locked down, but I wasn't complaining as well, because
Money
I
was
mean,
coming.
there was an increase, you know. You know, when the people say there was a casting down for us, we're saying there was a lifting up.
Lift it up.
Yeah, you know. So we thank God.
Thank you, thank you. Glory, you have the next.
I have another question. So I think this will be directed to both Mrs. Uba and Mr. Shobo. So we are saying, what are the roles of role models, mentors, and counselors in career
Wow.
relevance for this time? What are their
So maybe
roles?
Mrs. Suba should go first before Mr. Shobo.
Okay,
It's
that's fine.
invaluable. That's the only word I can use. Completely invaluable. I look back and I think I have shared this story probably, I don't know how many times. And I never ever tire of sharing it, the role of role models, mentors, fathers or mothers in your life is invaluable. There are 1, 2, 3 people that I can pick on and say they revolutionized my outlook to life. And they may not necessarily be in your own profession, right? So there are people that you look up to within the profession, okay, and say, these are people that you like, the professional ethics that you want to learn and grow from. That is important, okay? But there are also people that you consider, there's a Yoruba word, let me use it, onibawi, people that can speak over your life. To me, they are even more critical. I don't know if Sobo has a different view, but they are even more critical in one's growth and trajectory over time. So the short answer is completely invaluable. And for young people, please do not throw away the opportunities that we have to learn and grow around people who have experienced things, who have learned things, whether professionally, spiritually, or even who have capacity across board. So I've been advised to keep my answers short.
Yes. 2 minutes, sir.
Hey, 2 minutes. Okay. For me, it's like she said, it's so important. Role models are so important. They are mentors, your role model. They are they're extremely important. Because these are people that they've been through a lot, right? And then you can learn in such a short time, what the lessons that they have learned, right? And the challenge I have with young people is when you are with mentors, stop asking. Don't be asking things that are not relevant. You need to start asking questions, for things that will help your future. They're not your sponsors. Your mentor is not your sponsor. Do you understand? Your mentor is just not your sponsor. They're people that you learn from, right? You glean from things that invaluable, like she said, valuable lessons, that you need for life, and godliness, if there's anything like that. You need mentors. It's so important for me. You can never tell my story without some particular people. It's impossible. It's not even possible.
Absolutely.
You can't tell my story without some particular people. There are certain people that, and of course, mentors too have to be careful. The mentors are not supposed to be tormentors as well. If somebody is because I've seen so much now, a lot of people who have proteges, for them it's a thing of pride. Oh, my protege this, my protege that. While I understand that, remember that it's God that gives you that grace, to be able to use your lessons to teach people, right? So 2 ways: your mentor is not your sponsor, and mentors too. You're not supposed to be your mentors. All right. So I think for me, that's it.
Thank you very much, Gloria.
Right. So this brings us towards the end. So while you're down to Mr. Sobo, while you were sharing some of your story, I remember the emotional doctor. I can't remember her name, but I know what she does. She was sharing a particular story, and she mentioned your name and how both of you have worked with late Pastor Bimbo, and I was like, oh wow,
Oh yeah,
and where you people
exactly.
started from and all that. Anyways,
Exactly.
that's been a long
So
journey, I know.
of course,
Okay, please,
you
in
can't you
one
can't you can't
minute.
mention my name without having that woman in my story. It's impossible.
True. Okay, in 1 minute, can we please just give a summary of something we could take home with us? Mrs. Uba, Mr. Sobo, just 1 minute, just more like a wrap up of what we've discussed today.
Would you like to go first? Okay, thank you. I think I will end where I started from. Let's remember, for those who didn't start with us, let's remember we started off by defining the fact that the root word for career is charos in Latin, and it means chariot. And it is something that is purposed to take us from one place to the other. So remember always, people, that our careers are a vehicle, and we must always ask ourselves, am I being true to the purpose for which I have been placed on this earth in my career? Very, very, very important. Number 2 lesson, remember we're talking about positioning for relevance. Relevance is relative. Always remember to map out your stakeholders. Number 1 stakeholder is Jesus Christ. Am I remaining relevant, and am I planning for relevance? The final thing, number 3, is when you position is because you are looking to the future. You cannot be short-sighted in positioning for relevance. Remember, always look ahead. Don't just think about now. If I need to take a temporary pay cut today to learn tomorrow, how am I going to make it happen? So those are the 3 nuggets that I would like to leave us with. And remember always, young people, the skills that are relevant today, top 10 skills that will be relevant over the future of work through to 2025. If you have a pen, write it down. Critical thinking and analysis, problem solving, self-management, working with people, management and communication of activity, technology use and development, core literacies and physical abilities. They are the top 10 growing skills in the future of work. There's another list, and we can share this online, that will actually be the top skills for the future of work. What I just shared with you are the top 10 growing. Doesn't mean that they are the top 10 growing skills. The top skills for the future of work: analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence. Those are the top 6. Thank you very much. It's really been great to be here.
Thank you, Ma. Mr. Sobo?
For me, I would just, she said it all, but I would just add this little thing. Your career is a ministry, right? It's a ministry. It's an opportunity for you to witness Jesus through the things that you do. So, for example, you are at work and you are supposed to resume for 8 o'clock. Make sure you resume for 8 o'clock. Don't tell stories, right? Don't be that, it's so bad that when people say they want to employ Christians now, they're always very like, I'm not sure. No, it shouldn't be so. We should witness Jesus through the way we take our work, through the excellence that we put through our work. How do you witness Jesus? Through these little things. For me, at the Voice of Our Academy, even though some people believe it's just an academy where we teach things, I have witnessed Jesus to people. Why? Because they see my character, they see some things that we do at the academy, and they ask questions. Why do you do this? And we tell them, this is Jesus, right? And we're able to minister to them. And some of them have given their life to Christ. So you have a career, that's a window for soul winning, right? Don't see it any less than that.
Thank you very, very much for these insightful words. And I'm very sure that for those that are online, we have gained a lot. And for those that have not even watched, thank God, internet does not, Facebook, they don't forget. So you can always come back and watch this video again. So I'll hand over to Glory while she make the announcement. You are muted. I think you are muted. Yes, no, you can.
Okay, thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. God bless you. So, before the announcement, we have a slot for trivia, and my brother will be taking the trivia. That's Bro Taiwo. Please, trivia.
Yeah. So, like we said in the beginning, there will be trivia questions for those that have been following and participating and engaging. So, this is the time for you to win an airtime. The person with the highest number of correct answer will be the one to win the prize for this trivia, and it's going to be an airtime. How much it is, I don't know. But let's see who will win. So the first question is this. I hope you can hear me clearly. So please grab your phone now. Hear me clearly, clearly, clearly. First question. The art of everything in the future of work will be what? This was mentioned by Mrs. Adetola Salau. The art of everything in the future of work will be what? So please begin to roll in your answer. Let your answers roll in. The art of everything in the future of work will be what? So please, let's roll in our answers. I'm waiting to see somebody who has answered. The art of everything in the future of work will be what? Anybody?
We can move to the next question. Why?
Okay, I'll move to the next question. So because we don't have much time.
True.
Collaboration is the roadmap to what? Question. I think this was mentioned by Mr. Sobo. Collaboration is the roadmap to what? Collaboration is the roadmap to what? I'll give us 30 seconds to answer. Collaboration is the roadmap to what? Going, going, and it's gone. Number 3, career is a vehicle of expression of what? This was mentioned by Mrs. Adeidunnu Uba. Career is a vehicle of expression of what? These are simple questions. If you have been listening attentively, that you can easily answer. Career is a vehicle of expression of what? I'm waiting for anybody to answer. Okay. Number 4. Wow, this is very simple. What is the name of any one of the panelists? You don't even have to mention 3. What is the name of one of the panelists? Just one of the panelists that we had today. And then lastly, your mentor is not your sponsor, but people you finish the sentence. Your mentor is not your sponsor, but people you ellipsis. You need to finish that statement. So, having asked the 5 questions, we'll be looking for the answers. The first person that has the highest answer correctly will be the winner. So we'll check that on our streaming platforms while I hand over to Glory for the announcement.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. This has been an exciting time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm sure we are expecting our answers. Fastest fingers. So I want to also thank our viewers. It has been a great one. Viewers from Facebook, YouTube, we are grateful. Thank you so much. And many thanks to our speakers. Thank you for coming to honor God in our midst. We are grateful. Also for the youth that won the trivia yesterday. The name is David Akiwande. And you can send us a message through the number 080 to retrieve your airtime. Also, we have another session coming up by 5 p.m. sharp today. So we crave your indulgence, honor God, attend, share, like, and all that. We are expecting you to join us again by 5 p.m. So this is more like a lunch break. So we're
Yes.
expecting you to come join us from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it will be a fun one, sincerely. I can guarantee you the speakers are wonderful. So that's that. Then lastly, we encourage you again. Please share the e-flyers, the like. Remember, there is also a prize for the highest likes, highest shared. So once you get people commenting on your posts, we check and know exactly the number of people that commented and liked. There's also a prize for that too. So please go ahead and share and like and share and like. So this brings us to the end of the program. Thank you so much. We are grateful. We are thankful. This is from me to you with love. Stay blessed
And for
and
me also,
goodbye.
stay
See you in the
blessed. We
evening.
see you in the evening. Bye.
Beni Nija, mo, ajuba. Hey, nínú ìdààmú, nínú ìṣòro, nínú ìpọ́njú, Jésù kò jẹ́ fi mí sílẹ̀ o. Nínú àìní, nínú àìsàn o, nínú ìbínibíni, sílẹ̀ o. Kò jẹ́ fi mí sílẹ̀, kò jẹ́ fi mí sílẹ̀, kò jẹ́ fi mí sílẹ̀, kò jẹ́ fi mí sílẹ̀ o. Nínú ìdààmú, nínú ìṣòro, nínú ìpọ́njú. Even a woman can forget her sucking child, but my God can never, never forget his own. As the Father pity